Welcome. I am Dr. Stephen A. Wright with Macadamia Solutions, and we operate at the intersection of business, technology, and law. Today we are diagnosing a critical existential vulnerability with your enterprise's data supply chain. The intentional sabotage of your systems, including artificial intelligence, through data poisoning. These slides use a colorful metaphor, data gremlins attacking an AI recipe. But make no mistake, it's not just AI recipes. The legal and operational liabilities they can introduce are catastrophic. For most organizations, the wake-up call doesn't come from theory, it comes after a bad outcome. A flawed algorithm that violates compliance or a hijacked model that makes dangerous market-moving decisions. Our objective today is to shift your posture from reactive to proactive. You must engage in a strategic problem diagnosis to ensure your enterprise AI initiatives achieve innovation without getting bogged down in some sort of indictment. To defend against a threat, we must first accurately define it, and this applies for any data-based or data-driven decision system. In the context of machine learning in particular, your AI model is essentially a complex recipe, and the training data it relies upon are the ingredients. The data gremlin here represents a sophisticated adversary whose explicit goal is data poisoning, intentionally corrupting those foundational ingredients. And the challenge is this happens upstream in your suppliers. It's not necessarily happening in your systems themselves. They don't necessarily need to hack your firewalls or breach your secure servers. By subtly manipulating the external training data you ingest, they ensure the final output, the finished dish, is fundamentally ruined or behaves in a dangerously unexpected manner. When your enterprise relies on AI or some other decision system for high-stakes decision-making, utilizing poisoned data means your entire operational architecture is incredibly fragile behind the scenes. This is a data supply chain vulnerability that directly undermines your most critical strategic assets, your data decision-making. You should be aware that these adversaries do not simply throw random noise at your models. They employ sophisticated, highly calculated tactics to compromise your data supply chain. We can categorize these sabotage methodologies into two primary vectors, the widespread chaos and surgical strikes. Widespread chaos seeks to degrade the overall performance of your AI across the board. The goal is just to create an unorganized or disorganized mess of bad data, rendering the model entirely untrustworthy, effectively executing a denial of service attack on your decision-making abilities. Conversely, surgical strikes are highly precise. The adversary seeks a precision tool to introduce a single or a singularly impactful piece of malicious data. The model operates perfectly in 99% of the scenarios, hiding the vulnerability from your compliance teams until the exact moment the attacker decides to exploit it. Let us examine the forensic details of these two vectors. The food fight represents the indiscriminate poisoning approach. Here the adversary introduces noise and incorrect information across the entire batch of training data. It's a brute force approach designed to completely degrade the model's performance on all data points. The legal and operational liability here is immediate. Your AI becomes useless. The poison pellet, however, represents more targeted poisoning, and it's a far more insidious approach. The attacker manipulates the data with a specific intent of causing the model to fail or misclassify specific inputs in a desired predetermined way. The model appears healthy most of the time, but it harbors a hidden bias or blind spot carefully engineered by the adversary. This introduces profound ethical and regulatory risks as your enterprise remains completely unaware of the compromised logic. Moving deeper into the attacker's methodology, we encounter backdoor attacks or the secret spicy ingredient. The adversary injects some hidden trigger into the training data. The model functions normally until it encounters an input containing that specific trigger, at which point it predictably fails or misbehaves. This is a ticking time bomb within your infrastructure. Furthermore, attackers utilize sneaky swaps. Label poisoning is akin to swapping the label on a sugar jar to say salt. In a clean label attack, this swap is incredibly subtle, making it nearly impossible for a distracted data steward to spot. Alternatively, feature poisoning leaves the correct label but contaminates the underlying data itself. Both tactics systematically corrupt the semantic meaning of your data, bypassing traditional syntax-level security checks. Recognizing the threat is only the first step. You must now implement a rigorous framework for strategic problem diagnosis. As governance architects, you must institute a two-step inspection protocol to secure your data supply chain. Step 1 focuses on data-centric detection, forensically inspecting the ingredients before they ever enter the training environment. Step 2 relies on model-centric detection, taste testing the recipes it cooks to identify any anomalous algorithmic behaviors. If your organization is merely trusting external data sets without applying these dual layers of forensic scrutiny, you are exposed. You must integrate these detection methodologies directly into your compliance and engineering workflows to future-proof your decision systems, your AI deployments against these stealthy manipulations. Digging deeper on step 1 requires uncompromising data-centric validation. This focuses on identifying anomalies within the training data itself. First, we must deploy anomaly detection algorithms to mathematically identify outliers, data points that statistically deviate from the expected baseline. Second, we can use validation-based filtering. This involves comparing incoming data against a verified gold standard or clean data set. If the incoming data fails, this semantic cross-check gets immediately quarantined. Finally, we must enforce rigorous input pre-processing. This is the systematic sanitization of data, sifting and cleaning the inputs to remove impurities before they're ingested. From a governance perspective, this is your primary firewall against data supply chain vulnerabilities. You cannot build a defensible AI architecture on contaminated foundations. Digging deeper into step 2 requires us to monitor the AI's actual behavior, its model-centric detection. You must continuously scan for anomalous reactions during the training phase. If the model exhibits sudden unexpected shifts in its predictive logic, that's a strong indicator of a poisoned input. If we also utilize advanced diagnostics like influence functions, by isolating influential function data points, we can determine if a specific piece of data has disproportionate outsized impact on the model's overall predictions. If it does, the data is highly suspect. Finally, we can employ model pruning by mathematically simplifying the neural network and removing inactive or misbehaving neurons. We can significantly reduce the overall impact of a hidden backdoor attack. Now, spotting the threat is necessary, but mitigating the threat is our ultimate mandate. A secure enterprise requires a multi-layered defense-in-depth strategy to protect its proprietary models. We must implement a robust 3-step defense plan to gremlin-proof your operational environment. This consists of the ultimate pantry lock, securing the data at its source, the spicy food challenge, proactively conditioning your models, and the unshakable recipe, engineering inherent resilience into your algorithms. These are not merely technical recommendations. These are the structural requirements for a defensible AI architecture that can withstand intense regulatory, legal, and forensic scrutiny. Looking deeper at the first line of active defense, the ultimate pantry lock, technically known as data sanitization. This objective is to filter and remove poisoned data before it ever reaches the training phase. We achieve this by deploying automated outlier detection to instantaneously discard suspicious data points. We also employ robust statistical methods that mathematically resist the influence of a few malicious outliers. Crucially, we must establish verifiable provenance using cryptographic hashing, creating immutable digital fingerprints of your data to mathematically prove it has not been tampered with. For general counsels, this cryptographic proof is essential for demonstrating due diligence and shielding the enterprise from liability during some sort of regulatory audit. Now, even with strict sourcing protocols, some compromised data may slip through the perimeter. Therefore, we need a second line of defense, adversarial training, or the spicy food challenge. In this phase, we deliberately train your model on a controlled, small amount of poisoned data. By intentionally exposing the AI to known attack patterns in a secure sandbox, the model learns to recognize and ignore the sabotage. It builds in an algorithmic immunity. This proactive conditioning assures that when your model encounters a real-world data poisoning attack, it remains accurate and reliable. This is how we build operational resilience and guarantee your AI systems can survive the complexities of the modern digital landscape. Our final defense, the unshakable recipe, is achieved through robust optimization. This strategy focuses on the fundamental architecture of the model itself. The goal is to design an AI that is inherently less sensitive to poisoned data. we utilize reweighting mechanisms that automatically demote the importance of suspicious data points. We deploy robust algorithms such as robust linear regression, which are naturally resistant to statistical manipulation. We also apply advanced techniques like fine pruning and spectral anomaly detection. By engineering this level of tolerance directly into the mathematical foundation of your AI, we can create a forgiving, highly resilient system that continues to deliver accurate, legally defensible results, even when under active attack. And so here is your operational checklist for securing your data supply chain. For spotting the sabotage, you must inspect your ingredients using anomaly detection. You must compare incoming data to a pristine gold standard using validation-based filtering. And you must taste test as you cook by monitoring model behavior through influence functions. For setting the traps, install the pantry lock via rigorous data sanitization, train for spicy food challenge by continuous adversarial training, and write a forgiving recipe by employing robust optimization techniques. This checklist bridges the gap between technical engineering and corporate governance, providing the exact human-in-the-loop oversight required to deploy and develop AI safely and ethically. In an era where critical decisions in healthcare, transport, and finance are driven by data, particularly through decision support systems that are largely becoming artificial intelligence systems, ensuring the integrity of our data is not just an IT task, it becomes a non-negotiable governance mandate. We must move beyond the illusion of internal security and actively verify the provenance, integrity, and authenticity of the data from every external source. For a comprehensive multidisciplinary framework on diagnosing and mitigating these exact vulnerabilities, I strongly encourage you to read my book, Securing Your Data Supply Chain, a practical guide to data governance in the digital age, which is available now on Amazon. You'll find the link in the show notes. Furthermore, I urge you and your compliance teams to take the Data Supply Chain Vulnerability Assessment, also linked below, to diagnose your organization's exposure before an incident forces the issue. Thank you, and remember, your goal is innovation without indictment. Secure your data supply chain before the wake-up call arrives.